Hey everyone. Oh, I can see people are starting to come in. I can see the attendees filing in. Hello everyone. Welcome to the JWed webinar of the week. I am your host, Jewish matchmaker Jessica Fass. I'm an international award-winning matchmaker, actually won the 2016 Best Newcomer Award, Best New Dating Personality, which was very flattering. I'm kind of known for my funny, quirky, um, unique style where I tell the truth, but in a kind way. I always like to say I'm like people's best friends, confidant, cheerleader, all rolled into one when you're my client. So, so yeah, I'm so excited that JWed asked me to host today. Love this topic. I love rewriting online dating profiles for my clients and people that sometimes just want a couple of sessions with me just to work on their dating profiles, because it really makes all of the difference to have a great dating profile, great photos. I've seen tremendously different results when people just update their dating profile. So whether you ask a friend or a relative to help, or you hire a matchmaker or a dating coach to help with your profile, super important to have a great bio, what you're looking for, and great photos. So as you see today, I practice what I preach. So my hair and makeup is done. So I want to show you guys even how to show up on a virtual date, and definitely try to wear something modest in the beginning of dating. And it depends on your level of religiosity, and of course, and what you're comfortable with. But I wouldn't put like wear spaghetti straps on like a Zoom date, because it's hard to see. Sometimes it doesn't look like you have anything on the top. So this will apply to your profile photos as well. I believe less is more, and modesty. And but on JWed, that's usually the standard. So we usually that's not the issue I see on JWed. Um, so I'm super excited to be here and partnering with you all today. I'm going to be sharing my screen. I'm going to show you I took myself again, practice what I preach. And so we created kind of a dummy test profile of what not to do. And then I'm going to show you how to make it better. What else can I say while we wait for some people to join? I'm accredited by the Matchmaking Institute of New York. I did their online program actually while I was living in Israel. So my backstory is I lived in Tel Aviv for 5 years. I made Aliyah, and I hold dual citizenship between America and Israel. I'm back now in my hometown of Los Angeles. Came back here in 2016, and usually I do go to Israel every year on business. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to get there yet this year because of Corona, but as soon as I wouldn't have to go into 2 weeks of quarantine, I'll be there and meet all of you there in person who might be joining from Israel, although it's like the middle of the night. But the night owls are probably here, and we'll watch the replay. So I really do specialize in international matchmaking. I really do believe that you can find your match anywhere if you stay open-minded. You do have to do extra work to make long distance work. That's why I was talking about video dating, that it's very important that you always come with really good energy when you're doing long distance dating and video dating. And make sure you're not doing it when you're tired, you're stressed. Do it after work when you can kind of decompress and switch into date mode. And I really specialize in helping my clients with long distance dating because I was an international matchmaker before COVID. And now my business has exploded more than ever because everyone needs to date long distance, even if you're dating a fellow person in Los Angeles. Even if you're dating someone else in New York, you might feel more comfortable starting on video before meeting in person. So now everybody needs to learn to date this way. And the first step is to have a great dating profile, and which will lead to a virtual date, and then an in-person date is kind of the steps these days. If you are willing to go straight from the dating profile to the in-person date, great, more power to you. But we have to respect everyone's comfort level is going to be different during these times. So be more open-minded than ever before and less judgmental, and be open on location. And I really believe that everyone can find their Jewish match, their besheret. Okay, so I think we'll get started now, and I will share my screen. Okay, so this is the back end of a JWed profile. Most of you know these and very well. And actually, we're going to start with view my profile fully, not just my essays. We're going to get there. This is how my profile would look to a young gentleman that might be searching for someone like myself, age 37 in California. Um, okay, so many things going on with this profile that are not working, and if you feel free to type in the chat if you think you know, and then we'll see if you were right. So let's start with the username. My Jessica 1983. It's the year I was born, but it's a little bit boring. It's not terrible, but I really love karaoke, for example, and stand-up comedy. So I could have named myself Jessica Stand-up Comedy or Jessica Karaoke, Jessica Singer, something that's not just the birth year. And I see profiles like this all the time where the person like also has like kind of maybe like a weird nickname, screen name, which I'm okay with if you are kind of shy about, you don't want strangers to have your first name. Some people are still like that. I don't really think you need to be so scared of that anymore in 2020, but if that's how you feel, put a nickname, but have it be something unique. Like if you're really into arts and crafts, like maybe arts and crafts girl, you know, with a letter after, with a number after it, or a painter guy, or fun lawyer. So something that shows your personality and maybe your profession, or something more that has to do with like your greatest passion or hobby, can actually stand out more than putting your profession. Or again, a combination like funny doctor, 123, something like that. Okay. Or you put your name and a hobby. So like Jessica Karaoke. Okay. So this is all filled out fine, like age and, what I'm, my ethnicity, languages, all of that. And it's very important to fill out all of these things. It's funny, I did put my occupation, but JWed just didn't get to approve it yet. So that's okay if it's changes pending because JWed's reviewing it, that's fine. But you should really fill everything out. I see a lot of people leaving occupation blank, and that already sends a red flag to a lot of people. Like even if you were laid off and you're unemployed in COVID times, it's okay. Put what you were doing before or what you hope to do. People just tend to see that as a red flag if you leave that empty. Also your education. It's just really good to have everything filled out. It looks like you took time and care to really do this properly. Okay, so my photos. So I wonder if anyone's laughing that my first photo is with the COVID mask. I have been seeing this a lot. What's great is like JWed, actually, when I was setting up the test account for this demo, they didn't approve this photo. They rejected it because they were like, very funny, but you can't have that. And first, it's covering my face. I'm also wearing sunglasses. Also, my hair is a little messy. It's okay, but it could be better. So this is not an attractive first profile photo. It's okay if you want to follow COVID guidelines, that's great. We don't need it in a profile photo. So we want to see your full face, eyes, face. So many people wearing hats and sunglasses and profile photos. I don't know why you're doing that. You're just covering up your beautiful face. And that's what you want to see. The eyes and the smile are the window to the soul. So this photo does not accomplish any of our goals of people getting to know my bright smile and, warm eyes. So, or bright eyes, warm smile, mixed it up. Okay, my next photo, you could say that it's okay because it's cute that I'm like gesturing to these horses that happen to be on the beach. This photo would be okay, but I have like no makeup on. My smile's like a little bit funny, and I'm wearing a big hat and a bulky jacket. So ladies, especially, men don't want to see you all covered up in bulky jackets, and men, we don't actually want to see you covered up in bulky jackets either. We would like to see like, your shape. And so I can't tell you how many people put a lot of pictures where they're somewhere cold, they're on a ski vacation, whatever. But it completely covers them up. And it's cool I saw horses on the beach, but it's just not a great profile photo. I might send this photo to someone I'm casually dating as like, oh, look what I did today. I went for a walk on the beach and saw horses. But remember that your profile is the first impression that anyone sees of you. So it's just not the best first impression photo. It's cute. It's just not the best. And I say that to also people who show me their current profiles, because I do consultations with people where we screen share and I literally go over their profiles live with them, like I'm doing on myself in front of you guys. So yeah, a lot of women in all covered up with because they're in a cold climate, and they're trying to show us that I'm in England in the winter, I'm in Scotland, I'm in Switzerland. It's cool that you like to travel, but it's just not the most flattering photo. Again, you could show that photo to someone you're dating. Again, I'm wearing a hat and it's just like, and I think there's sun in my eyes, so I'm squinting. And it's also, look, scarf completely covered up. Again, it's nice that I'm at the beach, but this is not the best representation of me being at the beach. This is really cute because I'm playing with my dog, who I love, but it's a little bit blurry. This one you can see here. Um, I don't really have makeup on, and I'm like really scrunching up because the dog was licking my face, which is cute, but again, not the best first profile photo. I'd be very curious later if someone disagrees and says, no, they were all good profile photos, but that's very sweet. But it's just, it's not the best. We can do better. Um, Again, okay, we did that one. Oh, this is, I was playing with some other dogs. Again, cute, but I'm in workout gear because I just came from a workout and my hair is a mess, and the camera angle that it's looking up at me, it's not great. Okay, and then the last one, you could argue that it's okay, it's sweet. But again, like no makeup on, I look really tired. It was at the end of the day. You can see bags under the eyes. So I'm being completely vulnerable here, everybody, and sharing this. So this would not be a preferred profile photo. Again, you could text it to someone that you were dating and you were just like, oh, I'm showing you me at the end of the day, but not a profile photo. Okay, now for some reason, my bios didn't get all approved here yet, but they are all written. So I'll show them to you. You go to edit profile. So if anyone ever says to me like, oh, but I don't even know like how to edit the bio, I would change it, but I don't know how. You just go to edit profile. So no excuses. Also, it's a good rule of thumb. This is the improved profile. We'll get to it. Save things on Google Docs or a Word doc. Write everything there. So as you see, I copied and pasted what JWed is asking for to my Google Doc. And I write it there so that I can just be free flowing. I can write as much as I want. I can edit, and it doesn't get deleted. In Google Docs, it's automatically saves into your Google Drive. If you do it on Microsoft Word or whatever word processing on your computer, you can save it as a file and then copy paste, which is Command C on most computers. So you can copy paste exactly what you wrote. So if I wanted to like change this now and copy paste all this, I can put it directly Command V into the profile, which is, it's so easy. And again, because I have so many people that tell me, oh, I wrote this whole big essay and I lost everything. So for my dating profile, so put it on a separate doc. Really good tip. Okay, so let's read why these essays are not so great. I'm a fun-loving Jewish girl looking to meet an amazing man. I love to travel and love to laugh, watch movies and TV shows, and cook. I am warm, sensitive, loving, giving, and caring. I love dogs and children. I like to volunteer with nonprofit organizations. I can't wait to get married and have children. So it's very sweet, but it's very generic. And I don't know how many people might be virtually giggling out there watching. But we see this all the time. This is kind of like a very vanilla profile that anybody could write, and it kind of could apply to anybody. So because everyone's a fun loving, nice Jewish girl looking to meet an amazing man. Everybody. Like most people love to travel and laugh and watch movies and TV and cook. Everyone tells me I'm warm, sensitive, loving, giving, and most people love dogs and children. And most people on this site want to get married and have children. So although you might read it and say, oh, that's sweet, she sounds nice, you didn't really get any unique information about me to make me stand out and really seem like a unique person that you're passionate about, that you really want to get to know and makes me different. Okay, what I'm looking for, a very nice guy who believes in God and likes to travel. Again, that's almost everyone is looking for that. He should have a stable job and want to be a husband and a father. That's the number one thing women tell me, just want a stable job and wants to actually get married and have children. That's kind of a given. You can also include it in the profile, but we'll do it in a more creative way, which you'll see in a minute. Hobbies and interests, watching movies and TV, traveling, cooking, swimming, bike riding, yoga, Pilates. So again, very generic hobbies that a lot of women write on their profiles every day. Role of Judaism in my life. I love feeling connected to the cultural traditions of Judaism. That doesn't really say much. It's just like, yeah, Judaism's cool. Yay. So it's good that I answered the question, but it's so bland that I might as well have not answered the question. Okay, so again, if you're looking at this and saying, oh my goodness, I've made all these mistakes, don't worry. Today you're going to learn and fix that. And so I'm really excited to share this with you guys because, again, I do these profile consultations, like 1 or 2 time sessions with people all the time. And they tell me like it changed their life. And 2 of my clients, I got married because we redid their profiles together for online dating. So I'd be happy to do that for you as well. But you might be able to do it yourself after this webinar. And by the way, the subtitle of this webinar is Be Your Own Matchmaker. So again, this is what I would do for clients, and I'm teaching you how you could do it yourself. Okay, so here is our updated profile. Again, I wrote it on this doc so I could just write nice and long. I could go back and edit it. It is a little bit long, but there's so much good, juicy information in here now that a lot of guys could ask me about. And then when I'm done, I could just copy paste it into the JWed and then just click Save Changes, and I'm all done. Okay, so let's go back to it. The control bar is in my way. Sorry, guys. How do I move it? Okay, there we go. Okay. Okay, so here, let's read through this quickly together. Hi, I'm Jessica. I'm the kind of gal who will always keep you on your toes, laughing and entertained. I'm a California girl by birth, but after my birthright trip to Israel, I also became a true Tel Avivian Israeli girl by making Aliyah and living in Israel full-time for 5 consecutive years. It was a truly life-changing and amazing experience. I'm a different person because of the experience, which also inspired me to create a business connecting Jewish people worldwide. I'm fun-loving, warm-hearted, and a joyous person. I love helping others, making people laugh, being kind to my friends and family. Some of the other loves of my life, in no particular order: Disneyland, love Haunted Mansion, and Pirates of the Caribbean. The beach in Oxnard, California, and Gordon Beach in Tel Aviv are my faves. Bike riding along the Tayelet in Tel Aviv or the boardwalk in Santa Monica. Belting my heart out to karaoke bars. Ask me about my epic rendition of Celine Dion's It's All Coming Back to Me Now. That's true. It's all true. Volunteering with Jewish nonprofits, such as the Guardians for the Jewish Home and the Jewish Federation of LA, and theaters and musicals. I love Wicked, Grease, to name a few. At one time, I even used to perform stand-up comedy, and I can definitely keep you laughing too. Ask me about the parody I sung to the 80s TV theme song for Cheers. I'm kind of summarizing, guys. I have a lot of energy. I like being active, going to the gym, doing outdoor activities, like walking, running at the beach or park, yoga, water aerobics. Being an entrepreneur, I make it a point to attend lectures and seminars about self-development, social media marketing, and networking events in general. One of my strengths is the ability to talk to anyone, anytime about anything. I appreciate Shabbat dinners with friends and family and attend Torah classes occasionally, now on Zoom. I'd like to get married, have 1 to 2 children. I'm totally open to being a stepmom to someone else's children. I hope to build a loving Jewish household with my future husband with lots of laughter and fun. So I hope that everyone can see that this was just way more descriptive. I said a lot of the same things that I still like walking on the beach and bike riding, but it's sandwiched in between other details that make this profile really come alive. Because I don't just say I like Disneyland, I give examples of favorite rides. So then a guy could say, oh, I love Haunted Mansion. Do you like the part when this happens? Or I've never been to Disneyland, tell me about it. Both of them are good opening lines and gets conversation started. So don't think that just because you have too many differences in what the person wrote about, that it's not a relevant match. And in fact, it could make you like so excited. Like this girl did skydiving and I've always wanted to try that. So maybe I'm going to ask her about that experience. Or this man knows this foreign language, French, and I've always wanted to learn it. So I'm going to ask that about him. And because he wrote it in his profile here. That you can comment on the musicals I like. You can comment on that I lived in Israel, and you can ask me what was my favorite part of living in Israel or my favorite city. You can comment on how are the Torah classes going on Zoom recently. And you can comment on my stand-up comedy, like, oh, wow, that's cool. I love stand-up. Who's your favorite comedian? Can I see a link of you performing? And then you know exactly that I really want to get married and have children. I do include that, but I do it in a more fun way and a little bit more unique way when I mention it here at the end. Okay, so what I'm looking for. First and foremost, I'm looking for a man with a good sense of humor, kind-hearted and thoughtful. My love languages are words of affirmation and quality time. It's really good, you guys, to try to take the love languages quiz. It's free online. Just Google 5 love languages, you'll find it. And then it's really good to actually put that on your profile, like what your love language is that actually can really help someone to get to know you faster. So you don't have to, but it's nice. The man I share my life with would should have excellent communication skills and emotional intelligence. I'm a sensitive person and need someone patient, extra loving, and caring. I prefer reform or conservative traditional observance level. If the man is more religious than me, it could also work, but he would need to be patient while I'm learning his ways. I'm looking for someone with passion, ambition, and drive. He should also be active and doing activities to maintain his health. Preferably, he should be social, outgoing, and charismatic like me. He should be looking to get married and have children. Lastly, I'm into self-development and constantly bettering myself and would like my partner to be as well. Bonus points if he loves the series, and then I list some of my favorite TV shows. And again, this is very specific so that people can comment on these shows and also tell me that they love them. Or you can even tell me I didn't like The Office, and we can get into a debate about that. I can't believe there's some people out there that hate The Office, but it's possible. So you can also say The Millionaire Matchmaker is a really fun show, and you can talk about that. Oh, someone else is coming on. It's like another version of me. I don't know how that happened. But okay, if the host needs to tell me anything, feel free. Okay, what else? Okay, so hobbies and interests. This is, again, I just list like so many. I studied TV writing in college, so here's where I mentioned that. I have a BA in screenwriting, and I mentioned a ton of favorite TV shows that I liked. Orange Theory, Fitness Gym, that closed down now. But someone could ask me, what are you doing to work out now? Or, oh, I always wanted to go to Orange Theory. What was that like when it was open? And I talk about where I lived in Israel 5 years, where I've traveled. So people can specifically say, what was Italy, Scotland, Belgium like, or I've always wanted to go here. It opens so much conversation. You can end up getting into a whole tangent just about the certain TV show. You could also mention movies and books. I didn't mention that here. But of course, if you're into history, nonfiction, psychology books, philosophy, you should mention all of that kind of stuff. And it will open doors to tons of endless conversation starters. And that's what we need right now during the pandemic more than ever, because we have to, we have to keep in touch long distance and with our potential matches. And sometimes we don't know when we're going to meet in person. So we need a lot of topics to talk about to keep the conversation going and interesting. So this profile gives so many topics you can dive into, but it would also be, the gentleman needs to remember that he needs to read this whole thing before messaging me. It goes both ways. Ladies need to read the whole male profile. Gentlemen need to read the whole women's profile, so that you actually, and because that actually impresses each other, guys, like to write each other and say, I loved when you wrote this in your profile, or tell me more about your trip to Belgium. Because it shows you really took the time and attention to read it and think of a unique question to start it out, and not just like, hi. So I can't tell you how many times people just start like, hi, how's your day? Hi, how's quarantine? It's not unique, and it's not really getting you to your goal of knowing the person faster, because the whole point of the online dating is to get the phone number quick and get off of the app and start connecting in real life. So the sooner you ask someone a more detailed question about their profile and get to know them, and ask a follow-up question or two based on what you asked about. So if you asked, what was your trip to Belgium like? I can say it was amazing. Like, it felt like old-timey, like storybook romance there, just with the cobblestone streets and the food. And then you start getting into what kind of food and what exact restaurants and what museums did you go to. And then you kind of build like a trust and rapport with the person as you're recounting this trip. And then you're more likely to give the phone number out. Because I have a lot of people also telling me, well, I don't really know them. They just said, how's your day? Good. How's your day? Good. What do you do for work? Okay. Are you observant? Yes. Okay. Can I have your phone number? That doesn't feel like building rapport and connection. So the woman is less likely to give her phone number out quickly. I know the men are kind of more willing to just give a phone number out quickly, and women are a little bit more reserved about this. So yeah, men, the key to a woman's heart, listen in everything, with everything with a woman. Just listen on your dates, your virtual dates, your phone dates, your in-person dates, and ask follow-up questions. If you always keep asking the woman follow-up questions, she will always know that you're really listening and emotionally connecting to her, and she'll feel bonded to you, and she'll open up more. So emotional vulnerability is all over this profile. So the more emotionally vulnerable you are on the profile, the sooner you're going to find a match. And I know some people are shy and don't want to put all this out there right away. You don't have to write as much as I did, but you got to go somewhere between this very basic, generic, vanilla profile that anybody could write to a more rich, diverse, chocolatey profile, we'll say, with all that goodness of the different flavors of chocolate. We have milk chocolate, dark chocolate. So try to get your profile more like chocolate. Let's use that as an analogy. And the last part, I even expanded on the role of Judaism in my life, even though I'm Reform. So I am Jewish, a Zionist, and proud. I lived in Israel for 5 years and hold dual citizenship. The state of Israel is really my second home and extremely important to me. I currently participate in the traditions and customs of Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Passover, and Hanukkah. So there I was kind of like explaining which holidays and traditions I really resonate with and practice the most. So you see how that was so different than the first profile, just I connect to the cultural traditions of Judaism. Although I'm not currently religious observant, I love the cultural traditions of Judaism. I'm willing to grow and do more with my future husband and family. So excellent, like very detailed, and also shows that I am willing to grow, but I'm not there now. And I really believe that people should be open on the religious observance level because there's only so many Jews in the world. So the more open we are, the more chance we have for that great match. Okay, and then the last thing is I need to show you guys the good photos now. I showed you the good profile. So I need to go into presentation mode. Okay. It's loading. Okay, so again, some of these are professional headshots that I took in Tel Aviv actually last year. And so I do tell all my clients it is the best to take professional headshots. So many people want to fight me on this and say, oh, but I don't know how to, like, I don't photograph well. I don't know how to take professional photos. I can't do it. I'm too shy. I don't know what to wear. It's just, I don't photograph well. I've heard every excuse in the book. Trust me, you can photograph well. If you are a person with a warm heart and who loves to smile, and even if you don't usually smile, we'll get that smile out of you. That's the photographer's job. That's what they're also getting paid for, is they know how to make people feel comfortable in front of the camera. They do it every day of their lives. And trust me, they can get a good performance out of you. So, because if you can't take like a photo, which all you have to do to be able to take a good photo is be able to smile well, then we have deeper problems to work on. So we need to get you positive about dating and smiling. And then I really believe that you can take professional photos. So, oops, I don't want to hear that excuse from anyone. So this was taken in natural light with a professional photo. I did my own hair and makeup. If you can't do your own hair and makeup, ladies, get a friend or go to a professional. That's what you pay. That's what they get paid for. And just make sure you look great. But if you don't wear a lot of makeup, usually you don't need to do as made up of a look. I consider this kind of natural look, except for my eyeliner. So you don't need to do over the top if that's not you, but the basics, just put some foundation, some mascara, and do your hair the best. Okay. That's not letting me, oh, okay. So here's a full body shot. So full body shot is very important because for men and women, they really want to see you. Like I was talking about not covering up with all those layers of clothing. So whatever you're comfortable with, you need to show a little bit of your figure. And again, this is like very tasteful. So just don't cover up in bulky jackets and sweaters for your profile photos. This is a more casual photo. So this was taken in my home office, but and again, I don't know if it would be my first choice, but this is what I would tell someone who really is fighting me on wanting to take professional photos. And I would say, then get dressed up and you could take it yourself and I'll tell you if the selfie is good enough. So my hair and makeup is done. It's cute. It's sweet. It does show me in my home. So it's okay. Again, if you're willing to take professional ones, it's the best, but this is cute. This is also at home and cute. I might have cropped the table out on the side. But again, like you can see the full body and what you see is what you get. So many people are like, there's only a selfie there and I can't see the full body. So I'm not going to go. We really, we want to show both men and women. We want to show the whole body. You can see me here from head to toe. Some people sometimes just do torso and up. Again, have a friend take it for you, a family member, or go to a professional. After this webinar, I will send you guys all resources. I have a big list of professional photographers in New York, a smaller one in LA, and you could just do research and find people very easily. You can also find someone Jewish by just going on Jewish Facebook groups, and then we can give the business to our fellow Jewish photographers. Again, professional photo, you can see the difference. I would have liked them to crop out the water bottle, but professional. Good smile, sitting upright. So you need a mix of like some headshots and some full body. Again, full body outside with natural light. Took this one myself, but sorry, a friend took it for me. But again, it's still good even though it's not a professional photo. So if you ever have doubts, if you're my client, you send it to me. I tell you if it's good if it's good. And if you have friends that are really good about judging photos, somebody that works in fashion, somebody who's a graphic designer, somebody with like that creative eye, just run it by them. And I would get like 3 opinions before you decide which photos, because these are your first impression. So you want it to look like $1 million. People will look at the photos. It's just the way the world works. Both men and women do it. Will definitely stare at the photos before they read that whole long bio that I just worked so hard on. So got to have the photos to draw them in, and then the content, the chocolatey content to keep them hooked with their sweet tooth, to want to write to you and to have you stand out from all the other profiles that they're browsing. Again, outdoors, you can see Tel Aviv behind me. So I do like when you have a photo with scenery behind you, but it needs to look like if you're on a vacation, because it shows you're active, you like to travel, where you've been, and it's something for someone to comment on if they're writing to you. But if it doesn't look professional and there's not good lighting, then it's not a good photo. So again, you can take it yourself when you're traveling. Just again, make sure good lighting, not too many distracting things in the background. And it's up to you if you would be comfortable like doing a blowing a kiss gesture. I don't say that that's for everybody. So up to you. But you can see that I'm actually at the Hilton Hotel in Tel Aviv. So the beach, if you guys are ever visiting anytime soon, amazing view and a great place for dates, amazing, beautiful outdoor balcony. And this is to stay in touch with me. My company's called Fast Pass to Love because my last name is Fass and it came from the Disneyland Fast Pass. So it's kind of like I help you cut the line to love, just like the Fast Pass at Disneyland helps you cut to the front of the line. I have a phone number that you can, it's my office number that you can also text, and we get back to everyone as soon as we can. We've been inundated since the pandemic hit with requests to work with me, and I'm building a team now. So I appreciate your patience, but email and text will be the fastest way. And also you go to my website, fastpasstolove.com. It's free to create a profile there. It's completely confidential. And if we have a match for you, so if you kind of remain passive in my database, but I have a VIP client that could match you, myself or someone on my team will give you a call and we'll set that up as a complimentary match. So definitely make a profile on my database, and you'll also know about other events I'm doing right now, all virtually. So I'm going to stop the share right now. And I see that there is a lot of things going on in the chat. Okay, so,
yes.
Wow. Okay, so I think, yeah.
Been writing down the questions for you, and I'll just ask them in the order that they were asked. The first question is, would it be okay to put graduate student as your current occupation?
To put, yes, because that is what you're working on right now. That's what you're doing with your life, and it's totally honest. Yes.
Next question is, what would you advise about reaching out to someone who lives in a different state? I've reached out to a number of young women who live in different states, and most of them have said that they're not interested in long distance dating.
Okay, so say it again. He keeps reaching out to women in different states, and they just say they're not interested, right? Yeah. So I'm not sure your age, but the younger you are, the less likely someone is going to want to do long distance. I see it the most with my 35 and plus clients who are willing to date long distance. So again, if you're in your 20s, I'm assuming, don't be discouraged. It's because they still have plenty of options and they don't have the time to travel. Even if you're in your 30s, and you could even be in your 40s and 50s and not want to do long distance. But the reason for not wanting to do it is not having the time and the money to travel and not having the patience And oh, I think the person provided some more clarity. Yeah, exactly. Because you're 28 and the woman is 21 to 33. Oh, I love that you're willing to go up on age. That's amazing. Love a guy who will date an older woman. So yeah, this is the problem, because when they're younger, they're just starting their careers and they're tied to their family and friends. And as if you get older, you kind of realize it's more important, like where the right partner is, and the location doesn't matter as much. But some people will forever be tied to their home cities and states and just want to stay there. So my advice, if they don't want long distance, not for you, because it's a lot of work to do it and maintain it.
Next question is about the profile that you just used. They're wondering if it'd be able to get a copy of that to use as a guide.
That is lovely that you asked. Sure, I'm happy to send that in a follow-up email. And you can use my profile as a template.
Perfect. The next question is, do you have any advice for singles, especially women who are over 55?
Yes. Okay, so I know it's tough out there. I have women in this age range contacting me all the time. Uh, you really have to be like your own matchmaker. That's what I do for my female clients in that age range. So I actually do even use JWed myself, um, for my clients. Um, so you guys might see me on there, that my clients, I tell them write to matches that you like, and then say, so you say something like, I'm screening for substance of character and common values. And so I've hired a matchmaker to help me in my search. Will you please text my matchmaker, Jessica, and set up a call with her? So that's what I have clients do, and they put it into their own words. So you guys might get that template out there if you're all JWed users and we think you match one of my clients. So that's what I do for a lot of my clients. So that way, because maybe you're overwhelmed because you don't even know the person who asked this, like where to start. And so me and my team will go through and pick out the profiles for you and screen the men so that you can save time with men that you're really interested in that line up with your values. But yeah, so this age range, I really think you need to be open to long distance more, because you might not find that relevant guy in your age range next door. He might be in another state. Maybe if you're more open to Aliyah to Israel, you have everyone there is Jewish. I mean, I did it myself. I go back and forth. So you really need to become open on location. If you are finding that you don't have enough options of matches who you don't already know, because maybe you've been in the same Jewish dating scene forever in that same city. And I think someone posted a follow-up about it. Oh no, okay. So I thought they had a follow-up about that question. And I just want to say, because this ties into this question, there's something I call the big six. So it's 6 things that you need to be open-minded on. You need to be open-minded on 3 of the 6 to really find the love of your life. If you stay closed on all 6, it's going to be very difficult. I might just screen share the big 6 for a minute. Oh no, I lost the Zoom thing. Hey God. Sorry guys, 1 second. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen again, because this ties into your question, and this might answer other people's questions. The computer kind of froze. Come on. There we go, the big 6. Okay, I'll make this big. Yeah, so is this a deal breaker or a preference? So a preference is, I would like someone taller than me and I would like this age range. Okay, and that's a completely acceptable preference. But if you make it a deal breaker, it becomes very difficult. You know, if you're so closed on height or age. Okay, so these are the 6 things, again, that I tell all my clients, that you have to be open on 3 of 6 of them, or I can't even take you as a client. And this is good for your own mentality when being your own matchmaker, to think in terms of, am I being open on the big 6? So age, I tell all women to be open to up to 12 years older than them. If you're 50, you should be up to maybe 15 years older than you. And I'm just saying, be open. You don't have to, but because I always have women telling me, but I look so youthful and great for my age, and I can't be with someone that can't keep up with me. It's okay. Just be open-minded on the age. Don't just judge what I call an age on the page. Stay open-minded. And men, I love it if you can stay open-minded to date up to like 4 years older than yourself or 5 years older. Not every man wants to do it. And I know that the younger men that still want to have kids, they are worried about the biological clock. Please try not to think about that. You never know if you're going to be with a younger woman and then she might have problems with fertility. You never know what's going to happen. So you need to pick the right partner. And if you want Jewish babies, you'll figure out how to make that work. Surrogacy, adoption, so think of who is the right partner for you and stop judging age on a page. It's true that men always want to date younger, even when they are in their 60s, they're still trying to date at 70s, they're still trying to date much younger. Like, especially there's men who are like, I look youthful and good. So like, I'm 60, but I should be able to date 40s, So just understand that people are thinking that way. But if we all just kind of open our minds on age, it will help a lot. Cultural and ethnic background. I hear all the time, like sometimes Ashkenazi say, I only want to date Ashkenazi, Sephardic only want to date Sephardic. I get it, but if you can open up and be open to the other culture, it might not work for you, but if you've never tried it, why not? And see if you can be open. Adversely, I sometimes hear, I'm Ashkenazi, I only want to date Sephardic. So again, like attracts like, so it is sometimes hard to get a Sephardic person interested in you and if you're Ashkenazi. So just be open-minded, like, because some people tell me I'm attracted to the opposite look and the opposite culture. So I get it's a preference, but does it need to be a deal breaker? Really think about that. Religious observance level, I get this one completely. If you are observant and you cannot date someone who is, a bacon-eating Jew and, not keeping most of the Hagim, I get it. It's against your value system. If you can be a little bit open on this, it's super helpful. Just about if maybe they're less religious than you, but they're willing to grow. If maybe they are kind of half keeping Shabbat where they stay at home, they don't spend money, but maybe they're using electricity and watching TV on Shabbat and you fully keep Shabbat, maybe you can do a compromise. I know that there are marriages like this all the time that work, because if we try to get the exact level of observance, it could be very difficult and limit us even more. So I tell people to be open on this. Again, a Reform person with a conservative Jewish person, I think that can definitely work. And we're all Jewish and we're all on JWed because we want to find a Jew. So if you're on this, I assume that you might be a little Jewish light right now, but you'd be willing to grow. And if you're already observant and you're in the modern Orthodox level, go throughout the levels of modern Orthodox liberal, Machmir, be willing to play with that a bit. Politics is a big one these days. So it really says a lot about your ideology. If you're extremely to the left or to the right, my advice is if you can stay more moderate and open-minded, you're going to have more options for dating. If you really feel extremely one way or another about a particular candidate with this election coming up, and you have to have someone that thinks the same, I guess you do have to put it on your profile because it's going to be a deal breaker for you right away. So if it is your values and you're passionate about it and it's intrinsic to who you are, you can put it on the profile. If it's something that you could be moderate about and lean either way, that's great. I do know there's this power couple that are married, that it's a conservative political talk show host and a liberal, and they've been married. Their names are like Maitland and something, if anybody knows and wants to put it in the chat, and we should all Google them after this presentation. And I think they've done interviews about how they make it work. So I think that would be very timely and very inspiring to watch how that couple makes it work. Location, as I just mentioned, if you think you've dated every relevant Jewish person in your age range, you need to open up on location. And that's where I come in, because I can make connections with Jewish organizations and people all over the world. So I am the networker when you don't have time to be doing this. So just be open. And these days, like I said, more people are open to virtual dating and having more patience than ever before, except like that one guy asked us, some people are just not going to be open to it. And that's not a match for you. You need it to be a match with someone who's also open to long distance dating, because it's a lot of work. And I also coach my clients about how to make that work once they get into long distance and they go back to their cities or states. So you could talk to me about that after the presentation. Children, I totally understand this one. If you definitely want to have or definitely do not want to have, you can make that known, because do not try to change someone about if they want to have children or do not want to have anymore, because maybe they're divorced and already have kids, or they just don't want them. So don't think you're going to change someone on that. So the things I would say you could definitely keep on here is your children preference, your location preference, because it is hard to move and restart your life. And if you can open up on any of the other four, that's going to be super helpful. Okay, I'll stop the share again. Okay, so we could go back to questions. And now that's great, Katie, because I was able to fit that part in, and maybe it answered some questions.
Yeah, next question is actually pretty similar to that. They wrote, I'm Reform and I'm not highly observant, but I'm open to dating someone from a different Jewish denomination who is observant. The problem is that some of the women I've reached out to have said that they're looking more for someone who is along their lines of religious observance. How would you suggest dealing with this?
Yes, this is difficult. Very difficult. I feel you because you can say you're open, but then the other side has to be open too, right? So the women are saying, but I already want someone at my level. So they're not being open. So I wish you could send them this replay if you want and see if that helps. So I wish that they would be open. They just haven't talked to a coach or a mentor or a friend that kind of got them to become more open minded. Or maybe, they feel like they have a lot of options. So they don't have to settle for someone, who's not at their level right now. So you can't force anything. You can try a little bit, like a little bit pushy and cute about it, and try once. And if not, you have to let it go unless I become your matchmaker and I work on this with you, getting them to be open minded. But again, if you have a friend or a mitzvah matchmaker you work with that could help talk to them for you. But what I would tell them is, but I'm really open to growing. I want to learn. Like, could you have the patience to be my teacher? And like, why don't you send me one book to read or one Torah lecture to attend, and then we'll talk about it on our next date. Like, just give me the book and I'm going to prove this to you. I'm going to read it and I'm going to have a discussion with you after. So you're going to have to go a little bit out of your comfort zone. You're going to have to do some work probably to impress that woman and make her think that you're serious about becoming more observant. But if you try that and she says no, so let it go. It's not for you. And you'll find someone who's more open-minded. And, if you're Reform, you have the whole conservative movement to try as well. Like, best of luck to you. And I'm sure you're going to find someone.
The next question is about photos, and they're wondering, how do you prevent looking like a catfish when using professional photos?
Oh, okay. So my photos were not, they were probably lightly touched up. I didn't ask them to be airbrushed. Um, so if you just tell the photographer to do the light standard airbrushing, like it's me, he didn't like make me skinnier or anything like that. I know people that have done that I don't really think is a smart idea. If it's the light standard touch-ups, if everyone knows that anyone who gets professional photos has like the light airbrush touching, because it's kind of, so that's why I showed you guys some of me at home, like without a filter. So still dressed up, still hair and makeup. So you can mix it up. You can do some professional and some casual. That's why I think I forgot to mention that. That's why I showed you guys that I would do a mix, so they could just not be like, okay, these are all professional and airbrushed. What's the real her like? I do think you need a mix of home and casual, or just during your travels and casual, and some professional. So if you try to keep it like 3 and 3, it's a good rule of thumb. And yeah, that's what I would say. And once you start dating someone, let's say long distance, you can send each other like real life everyday photos, like as a way to keep in touch and maintain connection throughout your long distance dating. And so and if someone requests and says, can you send me more photos, try not to get offended, because I think JWed only allows like 6. So maybe someone will actually say like, oh, can you send me some more casual photos? And just be open to that. Don't get offended if someone asks you that. Stay open and you're going to find love. That is the key, people. Stay open. Like, innocent until proven guilty.
When you were creating your profile, what exactly did you mean by chocolate profile?
Okay, so I meant like the first one was very vanilla, like very bland. People use this term, if you haven't heard it before, like vanilla, to mean like it's very bland, because vanilla is kind of like the standard bland flavor. And then chocolate is like the rich, deep flavor with lots of layers and feeling to it. So that's what I was meaning. Like, make it like so delicious to read this profile. You think of chocolate, you think of the word delicious and savory and sweet. So you want to give someone like a treat for their eyes. The profile is with the eyes, and then it paints like a picture of you, like a more realistic picture of you than just saying I'm a warm-hearted, fun-loving person looking for my basheret. So again, vanilla is usually a term that means kind of bland. So, and chocolate is kind of more full-bodied and rich.
Great. And then another question is, do you match people who have learning disabilities?
Yes. If I couldn't, I would recommend you to another matchmaker I know who does. I believe everyone deserves to find their match and should find their match. And so you definitely have someone out there for you. And I've worked with someone with disabilities before, and just I only work with 15 clients at one time. To like for in VIP level to give them a very personalized experience. So if I couldn't take you on right now, I can refer you to someone who does. And there's also lots of like mitzvah shadchans out there. Probably a lot of you are aware of them, who are matchmaking as like a hobby, and we're so lucky to have them. And they assist me with my private clients sometimes. So don't worry, we'll find a matchmaker.
And then this question was asked before you went over the 6 elements, but how do you make age a non-factor? If you have anything more to say on that.
How do you try to make it a non-factor?
Yeah.
Try to think of it in terms of, when I look at this person, do I not think about the age? Do we have things in common? Do we have similar values? Do we laugh together? So I would say if you care about politics, if he has the same politics as you, that can help. If you're both physically active and like to go swimming and biking and running, like you have that in common. If you both like the theater, you have that in common. If you both like watching sports. So think about, and then the values. Is he the same religious level? Is he a gentleman to you? And men, is the woman very sweet and kind and loving to you? Because that's what men really want, is a soft place to land at the end of the day, and someone not judgmental. So if you're getting that from the person, try not to look at the age. I don't know if the person who asked this like still wants to have biological children, let's say, and then they're worried about dating someone too much older. I deal with this all the time in my business. I really try to tell my male clients, like, be open to dating up to your own age. And I tell women, be up to dating even someone who's maybe like an inch shorter than you, or at least your height, because so many women like feel like they have to have tall. They don't feel feminine unless the guy's at least 5 inches taller than him. The thing to think about is, when you're old and gray and sitting on a porch swing, one of my mentors told me, think of the porch swing test. Who do you want to be on the porch swing with when you're old and gray, drinking lemonade and having cookies and talking about life? You want it to be someone who you feel very connected to, like emotionally, spiritually, mentally. So again, if the person feels at your level and maybe they were and you're physically attracted to them, then the age shouldn't matter. If you really don't have enough in common, or they don't feel at your level, because yeah, a 10-year age gap, it was different generations, so you might not have as many cultural references and things in common. But if you can find a few points of connection, and they just have to look attractive in your eyes, and then I don't think age matters.
And we have one question from Mord, who is asking for feedback on his name. His name on JWed is Mortsport.
Mort Sport, because he likes sports, maybe? Did he clarify that?
He didn't clarify, but I assume so.
That's cute. Maybe, yeah, maybe sports plural, but I think it still makes sense. Mort Sport, and then maybe you could have had like tennis or basketball or whatever. It might not all fit. It might be too long of a username. But yeah, that's, or if you go by a nickname Morty, you could be Morty Sporty. That's super cute. I don't know if you know this, Katie. Can you change the username after you picked it already?
I don't know that actually.
Okay. We have to ask JWed about that. That would be an important feature, because people might want to change it after this webinar. We'll get back to you on that.
Mm-hmm. And then, are icebreakers a good way to try and get someone to start a conversation with you, or what should you write to the person so they will write back?
Yeah, icebreakers. Again, I can share with you guys in a follow-up email a PDF I have called the 100 questions to make any date more fun and unique. And you can also Google this and just write questions for dates or good questions for dates. You will get so many articles, you won't know what to do. It'll take you forever to read them all. So anybody that has an article that's published about this, it's probably a good article. Anything that came from a relationship website, Huffington Post has a lot on this, Oprah probably. So anything that came from a credible source. My articles are from a website called Stylecaster, is one of them. And the 36 questions to fall in love is great. You can Google that. There's a YouTube show about it, and there's an article about it. But these are kind of heavier questions that I would do once you start your video dates or in-person dates. But the icebreaker questions, just also Google that, like icebreaker first date questions. Some examples I can tell you are, if you could have anyone over for dinner to pick their brain, who would it be and why? The and why is very powerful because it allows a follow-up question. If there's no and why, it kind of like stops the conversation. So you always want to ask kind of open-ended things, not yes and no questions, but things with a lot of room for follow-up. So, and it tells you their values when they tell you like who would they have over for dinner and why. It tells you which celebrity they find funny. You know, it tells you which politicians they would agree with if they pick a politician. If they pick a famous author, it shows you that, you know, they like that kind of genre. And another one could be, you know, like if you could travel anywhere right now during quarantine, during COVID, like where would it be? Like what was always on your bucket list that you didn't get to yet, and why? Or where was a favorite place you traveled before, and why? What are you most excited about when you wake up every morning? Um, I'm trying to think of another good one. There's so many though. If we just Google these articles, it's now I'm drawing a blank just because I'm on the spot. Um, if you know the ones that are like kind of more cheesy would be like, if you won $1 million, what would you do? But you could still do those. They're still okay because that kind of gets someone like open ended of like what charity they donate to first, what trip they'd go on if they'd help one of their grown children maybe pay off some debt. So that can be cute. Something like a bit cheesy is like, what animal would you be if you could be any animal? That's a bit like odd, and kind of feels like more high school. But yeah, again, what's a favorite book, movie, or TV show, and why is a great one because it'll really show you how they think. Like I'll tell you guys, mine is Back to the Future, and the reason is because it's a family film. I used to watch it with my family all the time growing up, so it really bonded us. It's also a buddy comedy about the relationship between Doc and Marty, and it inspired me to go to film school. So you just learned so much information about me by asking my favorite movie.
And then how do you define a match? Someone who also wants to marry Jewish and finds his or her way to you, or someone you can actually fall in love with?
Say the last part again. Someone
Or
say it again.
someone you can actually fall in love with.
Oh no, sorry. Just read the whole thing again.
And how do you define a match? Someone who also wants to marry Jewish and finds his or her way to you, or someone you can actually fall in love with?
Oh, okay. So is it enough just to be Jewish and that's a match? Or like, you know,
Mhm.
do you actually really need to be in love? I think is kind of how
Yeah.
they're saying it.
Mhm.
Like if I get enough of these preferences and deal breakers checked off, is that enough? Or do I really need to feel passionate love? Such a good question. I think a lot of my singles struggle with this all the time. And I send a lot of people actually for coaching. With one of the coaches on my team is Elisa Ben Shalom, another one, Daniela Bloom. But it's very powerful to work with a coach to really define before you come to matchmaking. And again, in my VIP packages, I include a few sessions for you because we need to get this figured out. You need to figure out your core values, and you really should be looking for love. And if you are not someone who's so visual, maybe physical attraction, it might not matter for you. Someone like a little bit overweight or balding or shorter. Um, so you just have to decide if that's like a deal breaker for you or not. And if it's not, then you can fall in love with different physical types. Definitely, you need to feel like real love, or it's not going to last long term. So don't settle. But that's why you should go to some mentor coach to kind of like decide like, okay, am I being too picky or not picky enough, and decide like what you really need and want in a relationship, and write out your values. And you should get someone who you're also physically attracted to that has those values, because it's not going to work like in the long term otherwise. So that's why if you feel like you maybe exhausted your resources and dated everyone relevant for you in your area, so it's time to like start opening it up. People might want to consider aliyah to Israel at these times. But yeah, like you should definitely marry for love. Oh, it actually is in the Torah too. I heard this from one of the coaches. I think it was Eliza, that it's like it's a commandment that you like really need to be physically attracted to your spouse. So yeah, so it even says it in the Torah.
And then if you keep talking about the same things on the phone or on a date, does that mean it won't work with that person?
If you keep talking about the same topics.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, you might just start to get a little bit bored and you're not learning any new information. The key is to always be finding out new information about someone. and you both might lose interest if it's just like, how was your day? And it's like very vanilla, again, bland, back and forth, generic. So you need to Google these articles and tons of YouTube videos also, guys, about how to have great first dates and great dating conversations. I also can send this in a follow-up email because I have it. It's what I send to my personal clients. So yeah, just start Googling. A great dating coach is Matthew Hussey. I love just one off the top of my head. Evan Mark Katz. They usually coach women more, but everything they say applies to both. And men, you can Google dating coaches for men, and you'll get tons of advice of people who coach men, what to speak to women about. Yeah, it's usually women coach men and men coach women with a lot of this stuff because you can get the opposite mindset. But yeah, you need to go deeper now. You need to start asking these kinds of questions of, you know, if you could have dinner with anyone, who would it be and why? To make it more fun, to get to know their true personality, their core values. And so, okay, here's one really big tip. If you are doing these phone calls in between your workday and you're just like checking in, it's not going to be so much fun because it's going to feel like work mode. What you really need to do is tell the person, I really want this to feel like a real date. Why don't we give this the sanctity and time that it deserves? And after work, at this time, I'm going to be free, and you tell me when you're free, and we'll go into date mode. So we'll close all of our phones and technology. We'll just go on Zoom, just the two of us, and we'll drink a glass of wine together or have a meal together. And it will feel like a real date where we ask these kind of more intimate questions. Because if you do just pick up the phone and call in the middle of someone's day, they're answering while they're at the grocery store, doing work, in the middle of 1,000 things, doing housework. So they're not going to give you their full time and attention. And if you set it up as a proper date, I'm telling you, fellas, she's going to fall for you. If you are setting this up as, I want to take you out on a virtual date at this day, at this time, will you be available then? And actually a great thing to do, and a lot of matchmakers and coaches are mentioning this right now, is to order takeout to her home. So ask her what her favorite kind of food is. Then if, let's say it's Italian and it's chicken Parmesan. So look up Italian restaurants in the area and get that meal delivered to her. She's gonna you're gonna totally have won her over that you thought of this, of doing this unique virtual date. And at some point, you guys should, ladies, you should also be willing to do this too. So maybe the second date is, ladies, then you offer, now why don't we both tell each other a favorite food, and we pick restaurants for each other in our cities, but you surprise each other with which restaurant it's going to be. And another way to do it, if you don't want to give out your address yet, because maybe it's the beginning of dating, that you guys Venmo each other for it after the fact. That's only if you're not comfortable giving out the address. It is nicer if you give out the address, because then your date can actually really plug it into the Uber Eats or the Grubhub, DoorDash, whatever app you're using. They can plug it in for you and have it delivered to you. And it's nice also, you could send flowers sometimes, guys. It depends how long in the dating stage you are. If you feel comfortable to send gifts or flowers, the ladies are going to think it's amazing. And also, ladies, to return the gesture, you could also send a small gift at some point, or maybe a handwritten card, because the art of writing your actual handwriting, it says so much. It's like the old school, writing love letters to each other, and actually snail mailing it to them. It can be such a fun way to build connection and emotional intimacy.
So I'll ask two last questions since we've come to time. First, would you recommend dating or talking to men who earn less than 100 grand a year, as it seems that most women, justifiably so, only really consider men who earn at least that much a year to realistically support a family in the religious community where there are so many additional expenses?
Okay, say it again. Say the whole thing again, because I have to process.
Would you recommend dating a man who earns less than 100 grand a year, as it seems that most women only really consider men who make at least that much a year to support a family in the religious community where there are so many additional expenses?
Okay, so she's saying, sometimes the questions are kind of wordy, so I'll get it. So
Yeah,
she's saying, is it okay? Should I even date someone who doesn't make 100 grand a year? Should I even give him a chance, right?
exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I think so. Because it's very superficial to judge someone based on what they make, but at the same time, I understand what you're saying, that you need at least this income to support the religious family, because you're talking about having multiple children. But I believe if it's the right partner, and he wants to support the man should want to support the family and take care of you. It's like in the man's DNA. You might have to work a bit too. So as long as he's doing his best and not being lazy, I think that once the kids come, he will work even harder and he will take up other side jobs, as well, to support the family. So as long as you have a talk with him and make sure that he is motivated and driven and ambitious and he's not lazy and he does want a family, and talk about how many kids you're planning on having. If you already know in your mind you're going to want 4 or 5, is he going to be able to do this? If he says yes, then he will figure out how to make that additional income when the babies come. Because right now we're talking about something before it even happened. So if he wants that, I believe he will figure out how to make it happen when the time comes. But you also, all you really have to go on is his word, unless you have some references to call to. So you have to be in that part of the stage of the dating where you really believe him, that he's going to make it happen. So you have to get to know him a bit over time and like really see if he's showing that he's ambitious. So he might not have that amazing job today, but if he has you in his life, it's going to motivate him. And again, if he has to take another job to do it, I believe he will when the time comes for the children. That answered it pretty well, right, Katie?
Yes, great. There's actually
Cool.
a follow-up question for when you mentioned sending a gift to the man. Do you have any suggestions of what kind of gift?
Yeah, men are very techy. You know what could be like really easy is just if you find out if he has Apple earbuds, you can get him, like, this is like a girly case, but they have really funny cases. I saw Chinese food boxes, McDonald's cartons. So, if he has a headphone case of any sort, like an accessory to some tech appliance that he has, and accessories are not expensive usually. So, yeah, so see if he's a techie person. If he's a guy that likes to work out and he's like, oh, I'm so bummed my gym is closed, maybe you could just send him some resistance bands or weights. Find out what he's into and basically find an accessory. Or you can send him a book, and you can actually say that you're buying the same book too, and you can read the book together, and have that be like virtual dates, like where you kind of have like you have your own virtual book club and you talk about the book together. So yeah, find out. And even if you want to get him a book on, let's say he was a huge fan of Magic Johnson, my dad was, of the LA Lakers, so maybe get him a biography of him, and maybe you're not going to read that too, but that's just for him. Special.
Love that. Okay, and one last question is, how many dating sites do you recommend someone be on?
Good question. It can get overwhelming to be on too many. So I usually suggest one main website. So like JWed is a website. So stay here on JWed. And then maybe add 1 or 2 apps, maybe just 1 app to start, and see if you can keep up. So then you have the app version and you have an actual like desktop version, where things like JWed, people do take them more seriously because you actually have to log into the account and usually do it from the computer. I know you guys do have an app too, but something that you have to pay a little bit of money and invest in to really sit and write a detailed profile. You're going to get like higher quality people on JWed, and it is like the #1 Jewish site for people that really want to get married, not just date but married. That's why it's called JWed. So keep your JWed account going, and maybe keep 1 or 2 dating apps going, and even try maybe the paid version of one of the apps, because you will get more options when you start, if you do a paid version of a dating app. You're just going to start to get highlighted more. You get what you pay for.
Great. Okay, thank you so much, Jessica.
Did we get to all the questions, Katie, or were there a lot we didn't get to?
There's a handful of more, but they're more
Next
personal, and I'm sure they'll be reaching out to you for your services anyway.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'm so sorry if we didn't get to your questions, because I just want to give to all of you.
Yeah, and if you want to mention the code again for JWed.
Yes, I do. Hang on, and I will share my screen again. And so yeah, my code is where did it go? It's FASS7, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for it. Yeah, FASS7. And that is to get it's a week free, and then it becomes a paid account, right? So if you're not a current JWed user.
Yes, exactly.
I'm just going to share my screen again really quick, because people can be very visual and it's helpful. So presentation mode. And I also want to just thank you guys before we go. So yeah, there is the discount code. It's loading. Fast7, go to JWed.com. And also, I really want you guys to have a JWed account, even if you become my client, or let's just say we do like a few hours of work together of helping run your online dating profile. I want you to already have a JWed account so I can like go in there and we can start not from scratch. You know, it's very helpful if you already have the account set up if you want to work with me. And if you can't work with me right now, you can be your own matchmaker by starting to use JWed if you've never used it before. And I hope I taught you in the presentation how you can use JWed differently to get better results. I really believe that you can find love online, especially with JWed. And I wish you all the best in there. And I'm going to share just here my contact info again. So I really hope that you all keep in touch. Let me know if this presentation was helpful for you. If there was a question that wasn't answered, I will promise to try to get to it eventually. Yeah, thank you so much to JWed for having me. Go to my website, make a free profile so that I can, keep you in mind for a private client. What else? Did I forget anything else about JWed, Katie? I think I covered it. Yeah, that I love to use JWed as a tool to help my clients. So again, make a profile there, and then I will be able to, if you're my client, I'll be able to search on there for you too. And maybe give you one of my profile makeovers directly to your account. So again, it will help if you already have it set up. We don't have to start from scratch. So go there and make your free profile today. And yeah, I'm so honored and blessed to that you guys had me today. Thank you so much, Katie. And thank you all for your amazing questions. They were fantastic.
Yes, thank you again, Jessica, and thank you to everyone who joined us today.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Keep in touch.